We're talking today on The Next Right Thing, and this is First Friday, which I just love the First Friday devotions. Yesterday was St. Joseph the Worker. So this month is very special. It's the month of Mary. Tomorrow is First Saturday, First Saturday devotions, all centered around the Blessed Mother. There's going to be May crownings happening. We have Mother's Day, where we honor our earthly mothers and we honor the Blessed Mother. I mean, May is a beautiful, glorious month to really focus on our mothers, our fathers, the Eucharist, the food for the journey. I mean, it is incredible. And so there's so much we can say about this and on this First Friday. And the reason why Adam and I are focusing on this is because, we're early in the morning. It still gives you time to go to Mass today and really pick up the devotion. So Adam, where would you like to begin this just wonderful segment?
Well, to put it in some context that I think is true for a lot of people, here we are, the big day of Easter has passed, and a lot of us that are, active in our faith, were focused on that and leading up to it and, trying to get to confession and do everything well. And we know, the priests are crazy busy and they're doing 1,000 things. And it's kind of it's really kind of the biggest day in the year liturgically. Of course, there's many other special feast days and holy days, but this is a big one. But Deb, when you come off the other side of that, it's kind of like a New Year's Eve or a New Year's kind of commitment that you make, a New Year's resolution, right? As you're heading up to that day, you're like, I'm going to exercise every day, and I'm going to, eat better, and I'm going to pick up this and start doing this and that. And then so quickly, we realize that our days are already pretty much full, and the momentum of just moving on the way we always have kicks in for most of us. I think a little bit of the same thing happens in the spiritual life with big holy days like this. And so this is a great time, as you said, to look at a way to keep our focus going, to keep that kind of intense, elevated relationship with God that we had through this holy season going. And the First Friday devotion, it's really worth looking into. For those that don't know about it, it's worth digging into later, but we'll kind of give you the basics of it. So there was this nun, Margaret Mary Alacoque, mm-hmm. and born in 1647. She died in 1690 at age 43, so she died pretty young. She's canonized a saint in 1920, and she had these very powerful visions. She was a young woman. She was out at a party, essentially, and they were dressed well and, just having a good time and, enjoying life, a very worldly evening. And when she was coming home from that, she had a vision of Jesus. She saw a vision of Jesus crucified. And the quote, I'll just read one quote. Jesus spoke of the sadness he feels because his great love for humanity receives in exchange nothing but ingratitude and indifference, coldness and contempt. And this, he added, is more grievous to me than all that I endured in my passion. Mm. Now, at the same time, he conveyed to her his great love for her, that he wasn't giving up on humanity, he wasn't giving up on her, and he spoke to her about his sadness that she had forgotten him in her kind of revelry and, that evening, but also in her life in general. And so, she had a good relationship with God earlier in her life, and she had made some promises to God earlier in her life, and then she got a little distracted by the world. Mm. And I think a lot of us can relate with that, right?
Absolutely.
So, she has this powerful experience. He loves her. He remembers the promise she made to him earlier in her life, and essentially says, I'm very sad. So she has a number of these kind of visions and communications from God. And, she was then years later receiving Holy Communion on a Friday. And here's another quote. So on Friday during Holy Communion, he said these words to his unworthy slave, if I mistake not, I promise you in the excessive mercy of my heart that its all-powerful love will grant to all those who receive Holy Communion on 9 first Fridays of consecutive months the grace of final repentance. They will not die under my displeasure or without receiving their sacraments, my divine heart making itself their assured refuge at the last moment.
Wow.
And then the specific requirements that have, we understand from that is attending Mass on the first Fridays, receiving communion, and going to confession.
Because remember, just as a reminder, and we repeat ourselves on all the shows actually on Catholic radio because we have brand new listeners, and we have a lot of listeners that aren't Catholic. And so this is brand new to them. And so I know that if you are a very devout Catholic, you're probably thinking, I've heard this a million times. Why does Adam and Debbie keep repeating themselves? It's for the benefit of everybody, because remember, we want to reach, and you should want to reach more souls with the truth and the gospel message, right? You want to reach more souls. So, and also when we repeat, it will bring to mind something that maybe you have possibly forgotten, or you just, and it enables you to look at it again. So just keep that in mind as we share these devotions, because these can be, and I've said this a million times, and I've been accused of saying, oh, Debbie, there goes your cliches again. They're spiritual game changers, folks. If you want to go deeper, and the whole idea of morning joy is for all of us to go deeper and keep on that road to sainthood, that road of holiness, right, Adam? So these private, these private revelations that have turned into these amazing devotions for all of us to partake in, they have spiritual benefit. They have graces and blessings attached to them for now on this side of the veil, and even for all of eternity. So you have to look at the big picture of this, the long term of this, and see if it's something that resonates with you when you talks about the Sacred Heart of Jesus, the mercy of Jesus, being devoted to the Sacred Heart, spreading the message of Sacred Heart. See if that resonates with you deep in your soul, and then make the commitment to attend and to receive communion and to go to confession. Now, keep in mind, 9 consecutive First Fridays, but keep this in mind, folks. Please, for the sake of your soul, and you got to be protecting your soul. Don't say, oh, well, I didn't make it to confession. I got to receive. I can't break the 9 consecutive masses. Please go to confession before you receive. You don't want to receive unworthily, because you're heaping another mortal sin on top of a mortal sin if you have a serious sin on your soul. It's not, and believe me, God would be more pleased if you do it the right way. Not, right, Adam?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And Paul, of course, warns us about that to receive the Eucharist unworthily is to heap more condemnation on ourselves. Right. So that's right. Clearly... And
that's serious.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, you're heaping another mortal sin on top of, if you're in a state of mortal sin, you're heaping another on top of it. So, do an act of a prayer for spiritual communion.
Exactly.
In that instance, and just keep praying and keep going. It's 9 consecutive months, so it's 9 consecutive Fridays. There is no one start date, though I'm saying that today would be a great day to start this, because we're entering a month where we're focused on Mary, we're focused on Joseph, we're focused on the Eucharist. We know that we're going to have this wonderful interview with Anthony DeStefano about the Eucharist tomorrow. This is a great way to, for us lay people living out in the world, we're adding one more Mass a week. Especially the daily Masses, they're shorter. It's not that hard to do, as long as you go on Mass Finder. Is it massfinder.org?
Isn't it masstimes.org?
Masstimes.org.
Masstimes.org. Yeah.
Yes.
But
Sorry.
no, it's okay. You know what the beauty of what you just said though? I hope I've got my months correct. If you saying start now for 9 months, that takes you right to January 2nd, which is so beautiful because you're actually
Mhm.
going to mass the day after Mary Mother, Mary the Mother of God on January 1st, which is just amazing. I think what a perfect way to end the devotion.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is a great time to, as I said at the beginning, I think it's easy for us because our human nature is to be lazy and to conserve our resources. That's kind of built into us. But, this is a time to not fall back to the minimum.
Right.
And this is not huge, right? This is one extra mass a month. This isn't like, oh, that's so difficult and it's going to take up so much time. It's one extra mass a month. It's private revelation, but there's tremendous promises that come with it.
Mm-hmm.
You can do a little reading about Margaret Mary Alacoque. You can do a little
She's
reading
amazing.
about the Sacred Heart. Do some research on her visions and the approval of them by the church down through time. You can make this a season of learning a whole new aspect of the church if you're not familiar with these things.
Right. I totally agree with you, Adam. You don't ever have to convince me on this particular devotion. I have been a strong follower of this devotion, First Friday, and before we had the Spirit World, I used to love First Saturdays devotion. But so that's changed a little bit. Like you said, it's turned into a more of a spiritual communion and remembering and saying prayers during First Saturdays because we have the Spirit World. But I will tell you that I'm so convinced about the Sacred Heart. My mother was, just completely devoted to the Sacred Heart since she was a little kid. My mom is now gone to meet the Lord, but there's so much so that she took the confirmation name Margaret. And so we always had in a prominent place, and that's another thing, folks, as part of the devotion. We always had in a prominent place in our home a big Sacred Heart image. And I now got the image after my mother died, and it sits exactly 2.5 feet from me in the home studio that I'm broadcasting right now, and I love it. It's huge, and we're my whole family have been big supporters and defenders, and absolutely in love with the Sacred Heart image and what it means for all of us to really enter into His Sacred Heart.
Mm-hmm. So I was thinking, if it's okay with you, that we could read all 12 of the promises that Jesus connected with the devotion of the 9 First Fridays and to His Sacred Heart, because it's not just about basically having a good death and receiving all the sacraments and in that last time, being comforted and having a good death. There's a bunch of promises about right here and now.
Mm-hmm. I would love to, because you know me, Adam, I'm big on reminders. Because I think we have such a big, huge, vast faith that it takes over a lifetime to learn and to really enter into deeply. And so to be reminded, it only inspires and helps us each and every day as we walk towards heaven.
All right, so let's see here. Number 1, I will give them all of the graces necessary for their state of life. So basically the life that He's called you into, whether that's the single life, the married life, being ordained, taking vows, whatever it might be. All the graces necessary. Number 2, I will establish peace in their homes. And you'll see a little bit later that you having that image of the Sacred Heart up in the home is kind of linked to this. But I will establish peace in their homes. That's huge. Of course, today, so many people are having difficulties in the family. Number 3, I will comfort them in all of their afflictions. Okay, that's also huge. Number 4, I will be their strength during life and above all during death. And so this is linked very much to what's called the Great Promise. Number 5, I will bestow a large blessing upon all their undertakings. Number 6, sinners shall find in my heart the source and the infinite ocean of mercy. Number 7, tepid souls shall grow fervent. Number 8, fervent souls shall quickly mount to high perfection. Number 9, I will bless every place where a picture of my heart shall be set up and honored. Number 10, I will give to priests the gift of touching the most hardened hearts. Number 11, those who shall promote this devotion shall have their names written in my heart, never to be blotted out. And number 12, what's called the great promise, I promise you in the excessive mercy of my heart that my all-powerful love will grant all to those who communicate on the first Friday in 9 consecutive months the grace of final penitence. They shall not die in my disgrace, nor without receiving their sacraments. My divine heart shall be their safe refuge in this last moment. Okay, so what are some practical things you can do? Get an image of the Sacred Heart. Put it up in your home. Maybe if you have an opportunity, ask your pastor to bless it. Ask a priest to bless the image. You could give honor to that image, reflecting on the Sacred Heart of Jesus. Learn a little bit about the Sacred Heart of Jesus. Do that reading in the presence of that image.
The Ocean of Mercy.
Yeah. And
St. Faustina's diary, it reinforces the whole Sacred Heart devotion.
Right. Because later, this reference to the Ocean of Mercy, of course, comes up with St. Faustina.
That's right.
So Jesus, repeats these themes through these visions down with different saints down through time.
See, he has to repeat things because we need to hear it over and over again.
Mm-hmm. Now, what prayers do you think would be good if you were going to maybe pick a few prayers to say before an image of the Sacred Heart?
I have a list of prayers that are centered around the Sacred Heart, and there's several booklets that have been put together for this exact devotion. But I actually meditate on and use it as a prayer meditation, the different entries of the diary of Saint Faustina, because it reinforces. See, I could feel the Holy Spirit when I said that. Because it reinforces the devotion. It allows you to enter in deeper. Jesus wants all of us. He wants us to go deep. Just like if you ever love to swim and you love to kind of dive into the water on the edge of a pool. He doesn't want this like shallow kind of dive. He wants a deep dive where you go into the deepest portion of the water there, and you can feel like you're completely submerged. You're completely surrounded by all that he has to offer, is love and mercy. And those entries of Saint Faustina's diary, they capture it better than anything I've ever seen written. Like prayers written and composed and put together.
Mm-hmm. And doing that reading, don't forget, prayer takes many different forms and devotion takes many different forms. So really carefully and slowly reading materials like that, either materials from the visions of St. Margaret Mary Alacoque or Faustina, and reflecting on them and reflecting and thinking, what was Jesus trying to say to the world through these? What's he trying to say to me right in this moment as I've been inspired to read this? What is this image saying to me? Why is this image the way it is? Why are those thorns around his heart? What does the flame represent? Help me, Jesus. Let me go deeper into these images that you've given us.
Right.
And open them for me. There's many ways to pray and develop this devotion.
Right. And it does develop. As you go deeper, as you dive deep, you find yourself, it's like endless. You can't get deep enough. And that's the best way I can say it. It's unbelievable, folks. You try it. You will love it. You will never go back being shallow swimmer again. What do you say to that, Adam?
No, I agree, Deb. There is no end to God, and there's no end to layers of understanding and depths of experience with God and understanding that grow with different seasons of your life. There's no end to it. And even the saints that have attained extremely high levels, from what we can see from the outside, extremely high levels of spiritual development, will say the same thing. There is no end to God. And it's joyful. It's not a negative thing. It's joyful. He's ever unfolding, and that love and that mercy and what that means for us personally. Make this a personal journey through these First Fridays.
Thank you for listening to The Next Right Thing with angel specialist Debbie Georgiani and religious demonologist Adam Bly. Debbie and Adam are daily contributors to the live radio program Morning Joy, hosted by Keith Downey every weekday on the Guadalupe Radio Network. For more authentic Catholic content, go to grnonline.com/joy.